Before I start this video, I do want to say that there are going to be very little spoilers, if any, so don't worry. If you're going to watch the movie, you can continue. It's mostly going to be about Fox's inclusion. Still, I highly recommend you watch it, especially if you want to see Fox in it. But remember, this is solely about Fox's inclusion and what it means for the series going forward. Real quick, I'll give my most non-spoiler free review of the film. Basically, whatever you've heard online is probably true. It's very fast-paced, they introduce a lot of plot lines, and it's all jumbled together. Critically, it is not a very good movie. But if you're a fan of Nintendo and their franchises and just Mario in general, you're gonna have an amazing time. It's not even gonna matter, so still go watch it. So there was a trailer from a few months back that dropped, and it had a lot of people wondering because there is a scene where you see somebody's arm from like the side of the frame. This arm was like a green sweater jacket with like the silver vest on top. A lot of people were speculating that it was going to be Fox. I wasn't too convinced, honestly, because I mean, who could predict Fox McLoud being in a Super Mario Galaxy movie? Like, I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense, but you know, what were the odds of that actually happening? So I was actually a non-believer. But then a week before the movie comes out, they released the poster. Fox McLoud is going to be in it. Next day later, it reveals he's going to be being played by Glenn Powell, which in the movie was a very good fit, in my opinion. And for anyone wondering, he's not just a cameo, he's like actually like a part of the cast at a certain point when he gets introduced. So if you're a fan of Star Fox or the character, or you just recognize him, I think it's going to be a great time, and he's so cool. They did such a good job of characterizing him, and I think for most people going to go watch that movie, he's going to be the best part coming out of it. For the rest of what I'm going to say to make sense, we got to backtrack a little bit. My first time ever seeing Fox was in Super Smash Bros. Melee, which was one of the very first games I played. I had to have been like 4 years old. Older brother's GameCube. We had like our older cousin's copy of Melee. Such a great game. And I think it's a very similar story for a lot of people, where a lot of these Nintendo characters, we were introduced to them through Smash Bros. And we haven't actually played any of their games because, you know, they're, you know, more retro, a lot older. But then when you play Smash Bros, you recognize these characters like Fox, Samus, whoever else. And that's how you get introduced into their games, Star Fox, Metroid. Well, eventually I get to elementary school, I start making some friends with the similar Nintendo interest, and they start teaching me very legal ways to play these old games. And one of the games that I had was Star Fox 64. So yeah, Star Fox 64 was my first Star Fox game, and I remember it being pretty difficult, also like so cool. At the end of the day, Star Fox is just another on-rail shooter, and there's a ton of those. So the gameplay is pretty simplistic, but that classic style of game, they really cover it up with this great art design and music design, and they make it this much grander experience than I feel like what it actually is. Other than that, I didn't really play many other Star Fox games, even at all. I kept seeing him be introduced in Smash Bros. Time and time again, like I think a lot of people did. But anything past Star Fox 64, I wasn't very familiar with. I really started in the Nintendo online community in the Wii U and 3DS era, specifically in 2015 onwards. So I remember seeing the trailers and reviews for Star Fox Zero when that was coming out, which, as we know now, is the last released Star Fox game that we've gotten. Reviewed really horribly, you know, didn't even sell that well either. That game came out in 2016, so the fact that we haven't gotten another one since shows that a lot of people honestly thought the franchise was dead. That Star Fox Zero was this franchise's one last chance to make it back into the state that it used to be in. Star Fox 64 came out on the Nintendo 64, it was revolutionary. And this once marketable franchise just seemed to disappear over the years. What makes it worse is that on the Nintendo Switch, which was a very good selling platform, had a lot of very successful entries in a lot of these classic game series. Star Fox was one of the franchises that didn't make it to the Switch, kind of. Technically, there was a game called Starlink, which was a Ubisoft-made game, similar, I guess, somewhat to Star Fox. And while Fox and his buddies did appear in that game, it was more as a cameo and like a Switch exclusive version content. Other than that, Star Fox did not get his own game on the Switch. Which is why when I saw that Fox was going to appear in the Mario Galaxy movie, it was actually insane. Even if I wasn't the biggest Star Fox fan in the past, just the fact that this was once deemed a dead series, and now making it to the front of a Mario Galaxy movie in theaters that is probably going to be seen by 1 billion people. Like, out of all of the franchises that could have made it to a Mario cinematic universe, or even just like a Nintendo cinematic universe, definitely was not expecting Fox to be one of the very first ones that we get. But the more I think about it, Star Fox is like so marketable. You have this cast of like very cute animal characters that jump into starfighter pilots and they dogfight in space. I'm like, how cool is that? And again, I don't want to spoil too much about the movie, but Fox's inclusion was the best part about it. What's even more crazy is that literally like not even a month ago, there's a rumor that came from notable leaker Nate the Hate saying that there's going to be a brand new Star Fox classic style game that apparently is getting announced in this April and then released in the summer. Obviously that's not 100% confirmed, but again, this is a very reliable leaker and hasn't gotten too many things wrong in the past. And also I would just like to think that it's true, because I mean, how cool would that be? Especially coming off of this movie where, Fox has been reintroduced into a lot of these people's lives, and I mean, would think that a lot of people are becoming Star Fox fans now, if they haven't already been. From what I've seen, Star Fox has had a pretty rocky past with developers. Kind of seemed like after 64, with each new entry, they just kept on finding new developers and switching to new people making these games, and kind of led to some games being a lot different than the others, and they go back to the traditional style, but maybe people weren't interested in that kind of gameplay anymore. There's just a lack of consistency. So giving Star Fox this next chance is going to be really cool. There might have been something said about there actually being 2 Star Fox games planned. One, of course, being the more classic style, and then a second one being a more adventure game. I've heard some speculation online about what a potential Star Fox game could be like, and I would really like something similar to like a No Man's Sky, where you can play as Fox on foot, get into a R-Wing, fly to different planets, land, and explore the planets. I just think that'd be so cool. And you could like implement some like gunplay on the land. And then of course keep that like all range mode, R-Wing flying. I think that'd be really cool. I did have a thought though after watching the movie that kind of stuck with me for a couple days. That being, how likely is the possibility of Fox getting his own movie or a spin-off series, whatever it may be. And at first, after seeing the movie, I'm like, I don't know if it's gonna happen. I know that sounds silly because he was literally in the movie and he was a big part of it, but hear me out. Just knowing this history of Star Fox, it being a deemed dead franchise, what would make Nintendo or Illumination think that they can put this franchise into a movie and expect it to sell well? So I was definitely feeling very doubtful, but I mean, again, like I said, he's in the movie, like he made it in. Whether you knew the character or not, he was probably the most popular thing about that movie. If a Star Fox movie wouldn't be able to do well before this movie came out, sure, I could understand that. But I think at this point, I think we're almost guaranteed to get something. And of course, it do well. Why would you build up this character and introduce it in this film where he honestly doesn't even belong, and then you tell his backstory for you not to use it again? So I think the chances of us seeing Star Fox again on the screen are probably high, and that makes me really happy. Again, my first time seeing Fox was in Smash Bros. Melee, and hearing his like really cool like Japanese English voice clips and him being the most powerful character in that game definitely made him loved by millions of people all over the world playing Smash Bros. And looking into the history of his games after 64 not really doing super well, it is a shame that this franchise just had a bunch of missed potential, and if it were handled properly, I think could be this humongous thing. But those are my thoughts on Fox McLoud being in the Galaxy movie. I just really wanted to talk about it. I know I usually talk about PBS Kids, and I continue to do so, but I also am a huge gamer, and I mean, like, are most PBS Kids fans also, like, Nintendo fans? Like, is that a thing? Like, is there a correlation there? I don't know, please let me know. Are you guys gaming fans, Nintendo fans? Are you happy about Fox McLoud being in the Galaxy movie? If you enjoyed watching this video, I hope that you leave a like and subscribe if you would like to. Like I said, I'm a huge PBS Kids fan, but I also really like Nintendo as well. So if you'd like to see more of those kinds of videos, I would hope that you consider subscribing to this YouTube channel. Just gonna wait for this ad to finish. Sorry about that. I hope that didn't happen earlier. I was not paying attention to what was on the TV. For my PBS Kids fans, I hope that you watched my new Arthur essay video about friendship and childhood. And I currently have a couple videos right now in the works on Sid the Science Kid and the Wildcrats. So I would hope that you look forward to those. Anyways, that's enough for me, and hope you guys have a great day.